Okay, I don't have the lecture notes for that yet, but I think this chapter 5 is pretty straightforward. It mainly talks about the if and else, and a switch block. It just made those three, and so they make a lot of good things in programming. Without them, I can show you that it would be very difficult to write programs. Okay, just those two conditional blocks alone. So we'll talk about the if and else, and then the switch, as well as some of the operators like the and the or, and also some of the relational operators which will be used already in chapter 2. Um, and then something called the conditional and the not operators. Okay, these two are, as you'll see, they're really interesting. But mainly we'll focus on the if and the switch blocks. Okay, so go to this page here, not that one. And the textbook on page 283, these are the symbols that deal with these operators. we use these to make conditional statements. So you will run into these a lot, especially when you deal with, again, some type of condition that you have to decide whether or not you should process certain data. Okay, so this is a list of these symbols or operators with the name and the symbols, as well as the precedence. I mean, which one should take place first. So it's kind of like, again, back to math again, right? So back in the first few pages of the chapter, it talks about, let me go back to really quick, to show you really quick about the flowchart. Okay, so we talked about pseudocode before. I made a video about pseudocode. So if you haven't watched that yet, you can go back and review about pseudocode. Again, pseudocode is just really English terms, or you can write any sentences in regular sentences to perform a task to solve a problem. And usually you write that in any way you like. There's really no rule for writing pseudocode. The only thing is that it's not the actual code in the program. So if you want to write as close as possible to the actual code, that's even better, because when you convert that to the code, it takes a much less effort to do that. But you can use pseudocode to help you out to tackle a problem. And it's helpful because sometimes when you see a problem, if I give you a problem to solve, like the sandwich problem, for example, how do you start? Where do you start, right? So the thing to do is that you need to take one little piece of information at a time and then break it down. Okay, break it down to small pieces, and then you look at that question and you say, okay, what do I need to have here? Okay, what are the data here? So every problem usually will always have some type of input, okay, some type of input data, or some type of interaction from the user, a mouse click, a click on the keyboard, okay, of that sort. And then it also has an output, right? You always have an output to the user, or save it to a database file, or wherever it may go. And then, so the input and the output, these are kind of pretty straightforward, very, very easy to do. The most complex part is the processing part, which is the middle part, right? So we have the input, output, and then the processing. So it's called the IPO for the programming part. Okay, so when you do that, then you can use pseudocode to help you, or you can use a flowchart, because either one is fine. Most people will use a flowchart because it's easier to see visually, and you will see that most of the programs you'll use flowchart. But if your program gets really, really hard and gets really big, then excuse me, then the flowchart becomes really it's a problem. It's a problem because it grows pretty big, and when you have that situation, you have to again break it down to a small piece at a time, right? So there are other tools to help you as well, like the hierarchical chart. You can use that as well, like the organizational chart to help you. You can also use the UML. The book does have a few examples in there as well. But basically, flowchart is very helpful in the first few stages of programming. So here's an example of a very simple, it's like a sequential process to solve a problem. Okay, and then you have something more a little bit complicated here. You have, I can't zoom this out, but so you have a flowchart here. This is the conditional part right here, this diamond shape. usually a diamond shape gives you, if you are using the if statement, then you have a single or a dual output, and either yes or no. Okay, there's no other way. Okay, it's only yes or no for the if block, and we'll talk about that tonight. And then, so you have two branches out, yes and no, and then at the end, you know, you have different output depending on whether it's a true or false case. Okay, so a flowchart you can use to do that. So the if statement here, again, we'll get back to this later. Okay, so we'll be going this again in the examples I'll be doing for you guys tonight, and we'll talk about some of the if blocks and then the switch statements as well. So before we continue on, I want to continue from last week's lecture, which is the classes and stuff. Okay, so I want to make sure you have a good understanding of classes and how you can use classes in your other classes, and you can combine them together to do a lot of other things. Especially you want to break down your programs into small compartments, and then you bring them back together and make them work, right? So it's always breaking down to smaller components and then combine them again. Okay, so I'm going to start Eclipse here. And the problem last time we talked about was the sandwich, right? So you make a sandwich, and let's just go back here again. If I can find what that is. UD4. Let's just review that really quick. So here we have a so we have 4 classes. Okay, so A, B, C, and D. And the first class, A, is just basically to create a class called bread. And this bread had 2 fields. Okay, so we have the type of bread and the calories per slice of bread. Okay, that's one class. The second class is the sandwich filling. So this is the filling inside your bread. So you have the type of filling, and you also have the calories per serving for that filling. Then we have the sandwich, which would include the filling and the bread, right? So the sandwich will have, it's a class that would include both the sandwich and, sandwich filling and the bread as parameters, or as attributes or fields. Okay, and then we have part D is where you combine everything together, and D is the application, so that's the main class, has the main method, and it's supposed to do some calculations as well as instantiating 3 sandwich objects. Okay, and you were supposed to set different values for those bread sandwiches as well. So example here, I might have the first example is a bread type of rye. The calories per slice is 50 calories, and then the filling type is egg. The calories per serving is 150. Total calorie is, you do a little calculation there. It just said one bread you can have 2 slices, so 2 slices is a total of 100 calories. So that's 100 plus 150, you get 250. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. And you will use a function to do the calculation, and also another method to display the data out. Okay, so let's do something like this. So I'll do something similar, not the bread, but I'll use something that maybe kind of relate to us, which is students. So let's just create a new project here, and I'm going to create a new project. And we're just going to call this one here maybe like school project. So in a school project here, I'm going to have, let's just say, just like student class. So the big class, you can do this, from top down or bottom up. Okay, top down means you go from the main program and you break it down to smaller parts, right? Smaller subclasses. Okay, or the bottom up is you think, and like the way I have in the book, the example is you're doing it bottom up because you create the bread first, the filling, and then the sandwich, and then the program. Okay, so you go from the small piece to the big piece. Here I'm going to do the top down, meaning I'm going to from the program to the smaller components. Okay, so let's say the main program is going to be called just school. Okay, the same as the project name, which is fine. And so this one is the main program. It's going to have a public static main in the application to start the program. And it's going to be public accept as they are. So this is where we start your application here. Okay? So what do we need in this school? So let's just say we have a student class, right? Student is the student body. So we have student class. So I'm going to create a new class called student inside this package here. So I'm just going to click here in this package folder, and then shortcut, just click this little C here with a plus here. And we'll call this a student class. So school is full of student. And usually your classes are always singular. Okay, you usually don't use plurals for classes. And this is a class of students, so we're not going to put the static main here. Okay, so this program, usually when you write this, you can write everything here in the same class here. It's fine. You can say student, and then the courses they take, the semester they're currently taking, and then the grade and so on. That's fine. But when you do something like this, you can break it down into subclasses. Okay, so I have the school class, which is the main program, and then instead of having student here, I have a student class. So what I do is I can instantiate a new student. Okay, so what does a student have? Well, student can have classes, right? So you have courses. So let's just say the student have courses. So I'm going to create another class called courses. Okay. So we're just going to course, again, just singular. And this is, again, it's not a main program, just a subclass, a component, which is a part of the student. So student has takes courses. And what else? Let's do one more. And then maybe those courses are taken during a certain semester of the year, right? So we go by term or semester. So let's just create another class called semester. So they're all related to student, and they're all related to school. So the school has students. A student takes classes during the summer, right? So you break it down to small pieces. And then now, so if you talk about student, what do they have? What are some properties of student? So we could say, yeah, student, we have the student number and student name, right? We're just going to use those two. So student, not just student, like a string. Well, we'll make this a private, okay? Private string, we'll call it student name. Yeah. The reason why I call it student name is because later on I'm going to have course, so I'm going to say also course name or course title. And sometimes you want to be a little bit more specific to what you are trying to call. Otherwise, you use it or name, which name, the student name, course name, and so on. So we have a student name. Another property might be student ID, right? Okay. So we'll just stop there for now. And so typically you'll have course, so you'll take a course, and also during which semester. Okay, so we'll add those two properties in just a bit. But let's just go over to your semester and then, or the course, and fill in some of these properties here. So we're just going to use two here, maybe three variables. It's the more you have, it can get complicated. So you want to use three variables here. So a course is going to have a title, right? Course title or course name. Either way is fine. And again, want to make this private. Okay. Again, we should have all private, and I explained the reason why you should have it private last week. And also on private. And the reason is because if you don't set it private, then I can have another class, let's say the school class or the student class, to access the course title directly and change the title or change pretty much change the title here. And let's just say here, for example, if I make this public, okay, in the student, or in the school, okay, so if I say here, I'm going to make a course, let me just save this first. Okay, so course title. And in the course, I have a new course called C1, and then for now. Okay, so this is a different class from the school class, and then you have the course class. So if I put it to public, then I can access that course title by using this object C1 dot, and you'll see that it has a course title here, right? I can change the title to whatever I want because I have access to that variable. Okay, and the reason why you do this way is because, yeah, it's public, so I can do it here. I can have 1,000 lines of code, and oh, it doesn't work here. I can have a lot of code here, maybe down here another area, or let's just say 1,000 line down the road. I have 100 of these. It's called course title. Okay. Now later on, I say, you know what? If you don't have access to this library, okay, if you're only the user, and they say, hey, I have this library or this class called course, you can use it, and the title is called course title, then you can access this way. And then later on, the owner of this site or this page decides to change this to private. Not even public is fine. He changes this to, instead of course title, course name. Now what happens? Yeah, so in your code here is no longer valid. It's a course name now, it's not course title. Well, if you have 100 of these lines, you'll go and find them and change them, right? Manually. Okay, so the reason why you want to set to private is because if you set to private, then the only way to access this is within this course, or you can have the setter and getter, right, to do it, which is the public function. So you have the public void string to so this is the to getter, so get the course name and return the course name. Okay, so that's the getter. You also have a setter. The setter wouldn't return a void, would not do anything. We just set the course name, and usually we'll pass a string of the name of the course. Yeah, name is course name is fine. And then I'll assign this course name up here. Okay, this refers to this class variable equals this local variable course name that's passed to this function here. So the setter and getter. So now if I want to access this variable called course name, the only way to do that is through the set or the get course name. The set will allows you to change it, and then the get is to return it. So here, instead of saying course title, I have to say C set course, and we're going to pass in Java. Oops. If I can spell Java correctly. I think I have the wrong name. Set course name. Okay. So set course name. So I'm using a function to set the name for that course. And then later on, when I get it back, I could say, get course name. And that should return, well, I can't, I would say something like system out or assign to a variable. So now I can print out the course name, and then so I don't have access to that variable through this function called get course name or set course name. I cannot change the variable directly. And so by doing this, I have more control over my variable name. I can change it back to course title, and it will still be fine. I just have to change here, and here, and here, right? 3 places. And then I also have control because when you set the course title, if you say Java, you might put some really ugly stuff in here, right? Some we call this injection code to kind of inject into your program to hack into your system. So when you do something like this, usually you would want to validate that name first. You want to say, make sure this course name is valid. If it's not valid, then don't put it in there, right? You might do something like the SQL injection into your database, and it will ruin your database. So you want to verify that, make sure the code is a legal character, a certain field, a certain length, and then you have control over that. Okay. Whereas if you make it public, then they can put whatever they want, and they could also be harmful to your program. Okay. So that's the reason why you want to set everything to private. Okay. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. Yep. Okay, good. So you have the course. I already did the 2 steps already. So we have the course name. We'll leave the name as it is. And then we have another one, maybe int as the credits. Okay. So how many credits does this course has? I could call it the and then maybe one more thing for a double for the grade. So what grade does the student have for this course, which has means this many credits? Okay, so that's the course. And then let's go over to the semester class. So this course is taken during which semester? So here semester will have maybe the term, right? Could be summer, fall, spring. I'm using term, you can use semester, it's fine, lowercase. And then maybe we have another one here for the year. So just going to int year, like 2017, 2015, and so on. So we have 4 classes, just like the sandwich and the other examples we have in the project. Okay, now, so we need to build constructors for these, right? Well, first you want to say public semester. Make sure you have the same name, same spelling. And this is the blank one. So you can create one with the blank parameters, which is fine. Sometimes you want to do that to kind of safeguard your code. Okay, so you can leave that as blank. And if it's blank, then it's going to take the default values, whichever they are. In this case, it will be just empty string and a blank or 0 for the year. But you want to have another one here to catch all. So semester, we're going to take in the term, which is the string type of term. You see that in my examples, I always use the same name here, even though this is a local variable and this is a global or the class variable. Okay, it's always the same. It doesn't have to be the same. It could be a different variable name if you want. If it's confusing, they use a different variable name. Okay, you could call it semester or something. And then we'll also take the year for this course. And so the constructor will initialize, or we create this object called semester for us. And so typically you could say this dot year is equal to this year, right? This dot year is this year up here is equal to this year here. And this is not the recommended way I want you to do. Okay? I want you to create the getters and setters and then set them using those getters and setters. Okay, that's what we make them private. And so you kind of get into the habit of creating getters and setters and then change them in here. And the same reason as to why you want to do that, because you can have multiple constructors. If later I change it to a different variable name, then again, same rule applies. You go and change them that many X number of times. So let's create the setters and getters for these variable names. Usually setters and getters are always set to public. You can set to private certain situations. If you do that, then you're actually making your class called immutable class. I mean, you cannot be changed. It cannot be changed. And that's pretty rare. But so usually all your getters and setters are always set to public, so you can access your data. The setter will be just so setters are always void, okay? Because they're not returning anything, so always void type. So public void, let's show. This is the set, the term, and again by convention, it's always the word set followed by the variable name in camel case. Okay, so I'm going to set the term to this new term, and so again now we put it here. So this term, which is the global variable name, is equal to the local variable name, which is the one that's passed to this function here. So we're setting that here. So instead of doing, this term here is equal to term here, right? Instead of doing that, I want to do this. I want to call this function here set term. Set term. I'm passing this term here, which is passed to this constructor, to this function, and then that function will set it for me. So I'm not doing this inside the constructor. Okay. So we do another one for the year. So void set year, and the int year for the variable name here. This year is equal to this year, the year here. And by the same token, I'm going to say set year. I'm going to pass the year variable to that function. Okay, so I got my setters. And then how do you return the data back? Well, those are your getters. Okay, so the getters are always return a value. Okay, and then because you're going to get something, and these are the data type for these particular variable names. So public, the term will be a string type. Okay, so we're going to get term, and we're not passing any variable to that. I'm just going to return this term. Okay, so I'm getting the term back. And the same for the year. It's an integer type, so get year, no parameters, and just basically again return this year. Okay, so I got my setters and getters, got my constructors, the blank one, and then the one with the two variable names. So I'm all set for this one. So with the semester, I can now go into the student class. Okay, student class. I have the name, ID, and the course or the semester is going to be taken in this course. So I'm going to have another variable name here of type semester, right? And what semester is this? I can call this, maybe we'll call it term A also. So it's a class now. So it's again, classes are used as data type. You also want to make this private. You treat this just like a regular variable name, a data type, but it's a class. Yeah, I'm not instantiating anything here yet. I'm just setting that there. So you have another one here. We assume it's going to be called course, right? And we have this course here. Okay, so we have two classes are used inside the student class because they belong to student. They're part of the student. So the student has a semester class, has a course. So this is a has a relationship. Okay. So let's go ahead and finish our course class. We already started the course name. We got the this is the setter, and this is the getter here. Okay, so we're good to go. And I'm going to do the same thing for this credit and the grade here. So public void set credit. I'm going to set the credit to integer type of credit. I'm going to pass that from the constructor. And this credit is going to be equal to the credit passed to it. Okay. And do the same for the grade. Set grade. And I'm going to pass in a double grade. And this grade will be equal to the grade passed to it. So these are my setters. And let's finish the getters here. So again, getters always return something. So the credit is of type integer. So get credit and return this credit. Okay. I'll just make some lines down here. Let's see. And then we have the last one, which is of type double. Get grade. And returning this grade. Right. So that's my getter and setters for those three variables. And then I just have to take care of the constructor. Okay. So the constructor here. again, just create the blank one, just in case. You just do that is fine, because it's an empty constructor. And then you have the one that will take 3 variables, public, course, and so this one has a different signature, right? Remember, signature has a different parameters. The first one is going to be string of the course name. We'll have a credit, and we have the grade. Okay, and then we're going to set those variables using the functions down here, the setters. So set course, course name. I'm going to pass the course name to it. Okay, set the credit, pass the credit to it. Set the grade and pass grade to it. Okay, so those are my 2 constructors plus all the setters and getters, and now I can use the course now. So I can instantiate a new course and pass these values to the constructors, and then I will have this all set up to go. So we get the semesters, the course, and then they're going to go inside the student. So I have the term, course, and semesters here. Now you do the same thing, right? The same rules, the setters and getters. So here, I'm going to do the setters and getters. So again, public void set student name. I'm going to pass the string of name. I'm just going to call name for this one. And this student name equals the name here. Okay? Then we have the public void set ID, and it's the int of ID. And this ID is the ID passed to it. Okay? And then down here, we have 2 more. Not that one. Set semester term. I'm going to pass the term to it. This term is the term passed to it. Also type string. No, sorry, it's wrong. Same type, right? It's a semester. It has to be the semester type. Okay, it's an object. So we just have to match the same data type here. So I'll pass an object to this object here. And then finally, we have the public void set course. And we're going to pass the course to it. So it's the course class type. And then we're going to set this course equals course. So those are my setters. And if you want to complete the getters, similar, public. The name will be string type, get student name. I'm not taking any variable name here. I'm just return this student name. Okay, return that back to the requester. I have a ID of int type, get ID. Okay, and then we have the semester, which is the term in the course. So we do the same thing here. So of type semester. Okay, get a term. I'm returning this term. Okay, and then finally we have the course type. Okay, so I have all my setters and getters for all of them, and I'm pretty much almost done here. So I have to again now finish my constructor. Okay, so I want to show you two ways how to do this one here. One is, well, I would have like two different constructors how to instantiate the course and the semester objects. Okay, so how do you, when you create an object, usually you use the keyword new, right? You use it, say semester term is equal to new semester and then paren. Okay, you can do that inside the constructor, or you can do it outside here when you initialize, when you instantiate a course here, like I did here. So I did say in the school class, I'm going to create a course called C1, and it's going to call, Java 1, right? So I'm doing this way. I'm calling the course set name to do that for me, which I may not do that. Which again, so when you write your program, you can do either way. It doesn't really matter. Okay, but let me do it this way. I'm gonna do. Let's finish the student first. The student, we need to do the constructor. So again, the public blank constructor. Okay, that one takes no parameter. If it doesn't, everything will be just by the default, which is blank. The next one is going to be student. I'm going to take the student name ID, right? So it's a string of the, I'm just going to call name this one, name, the end for the ID. And then you also want to take the semester in the course, right? So it's going to be a course of course, and then semester of term. Okay, so I'll take 4 of these variables here, and then I'll use the constructor to initialize and set them for me. When I pass the course object here in the semester term here, I would have to already initialize or set or create the course object from wherever I'm called from. So if I'm calling up here, for example, I'm creating course 1, C1 is new course already, and I'm going to pass this C1 to the student class. Okay, that's one way to do it. So inside here, it's just same as before. You're going to set the student name. I'm passing the name to it. Okay, set the ID, set the course, set the semester of the term. Okay, so that's my constructor. So let's save this file, and now I'm going to move to the school now. So this is the main program. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a student. Okay, so a student is going to have one course during one semester, and then we'll print those data out. Okay, so the first is the way I showed you last time is you do this way, and I'll show you a different way also. So one way is you create the course first. Okay, so course 1, and if you look at the course, I have the name, credit, and the grade, right? So let's just say that I have the course is called Java 1, 3 parameters. The credit is going to be 3 credit, and the grade, again, just let's say you got a 97.5. So that's course 1. Okay, and then this course is taken during which semester? So I have semester S1. And then new semester. I'm taking 2 parameters, right? Semester takes the term and the year. So the term will be summer, and the year is 2017. So those are my 2 objects. Again, it'll be like bread, filling, right? Okay. And the next is my student object. This student here is this student here. Remember, the student is I have the semester and course are part of the student. Okay, so I have student, we call it student 1, and again it's new student. So what am I passing to the student here? Well, if you look in here, okay, I'm taking the blank, or I'm taking the name, ID, the course, and the semester, the term. Okay, so here I'm passing the name, will be Jane, ID will be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the course is C1 and semester is S1. Okay, so I'm passing the object to the student class. So name and ID all come here. So the name comes here, set the name, ID, set the ID, and the course is going to set the course as an object, because object matches the object type. Okay, then they're good to go. So basically, when you create the course, you pass it here, and then this information actually going to go all the way to the course here. So the credit, the name, all this stuff here, you already create those inside here. When you initially create the object of course. Okay, so the data is already there. But now when I pass this to the student class, then the student here is actually owns these two courses, the course and the semester, so they can access those information directly from the student object. So now if I want to grab student 1's information, I can now say student 1 dot, you see all this information, right? I want to get the name back. So I'm going to say get student name, right? And that will get the student name. For now, if I do this, let's just say string name. So I'm going to return this, get a student name, and then I have an int ID. I'm going to get the student ID. Get ID, right? All these methods are available through the student class, right? Get name, set name, get ID, all those stuff here. And because they're part of the semester and the course, they're also part of the student, I can even access all the information here as well. Okay, so now I got the ID. And if I want to get the course, so it's a type string course is going to be called the student 1.get. Well, there's no get course name here, but the get course here is a class of student. Get course, you call the function. Now I'm inside, so this get course here points to this function inside a student, which is get course. Okay, this get course is a part of the course class, so I can now, from that student class, I can access the course methods. Okay, I can get the course name from the course class. So I'm taking I'm hopping over 2 hops to get there.
Can you just keep going, since course has what, two things in it?
Right, so this is the the student class has a function called get course, and this course here points to the course class. So here I have 3 parameters. So I can get all this information from here.
And you can just do that on one line?
Yeah.
You can keep going like that, you know.
Yeah, so right, if a course has another class inside, yes, you can keep going, right?
All on one line.
Yes.
Just keep going back. Yeah.
Because now this course name is accessed through the student function called get course, and then you can get it from the student 1. Okay. So if you want to get the course, credit, that's the int. So I have student 1, get course, right? I'm going to get course. Kind of see look similar, and then of course I can get the credit. Okay, so if you look at this part here, it looks exactly the same. This two is exactly the same. This is exactly the same. The difference is just these here: get course name, get the credit, right? And if you want to get the grade, then you do the same thing. Student1 get course, okay, dot get grade. So I got the student one's information from here. Okay, I'm showing you this method here. This is probably not the preferred way to do it, okay, but it can be done. Okay, so I got the grade for the course. What about the semester? What about the student one semester? I do kind of the same thing here. I say now string term is student one get, not course, but get term, right? Which is a part of the semester. Get the term now, and then I'm pointing to this class called semester. Now this one has two methods, get the year and then get the term. So get term. Okay? So, and then the other one is just the end for the year. And this will be same, student one get term and then get the year. Okay? So all these are accessed through the student one object, through the sandwich object, right? Sandwich, red type, oh, sandwich, red type, right? Sandwich, red, calories, okay? Sandwich, filling type. Sandwich, filling, calories, okay? So that's how one way to do it. And then now you just basically just print them out. And to print them out, we will do a function down here. It's not efficient. So you want to create a function right here to print the data out. Just do this. So we have a static class void just display info. And I'm going to pass just only one object. In this example, it'll be just of the student type. Okay, so here, when I print student one, we're just going to say display info for student one. I pass everything that student one has to this function, and I want to display it to the screen. Okay. So actually, I should have put this inside the function here. So all of these here, all of these, I'm going to take it out and put it inside here. Okay, so I have just those lines. And this will be just student instead of student one. Because whichever student I pass to is going to be that student. Okay, and then now I can do the output. I could say student name, and then there should be the name. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. That's the ID, course, credit, grade, term, year. Okay, so ID. This is ID. This is the course name. So course, this is the course credit. We collect credit here, and then we have the semester, and this is the term, year, and year, and they have the grade. So the grade is just the grade here. Right? So if I want to print this out, let's see what we have. Okay, so here we have it. The student name is Jane, ID, the course credit, summer term, year, and then the grade. Okay, if I want to create a second student, then I'll do the same thing. Again, I will copy this, right, here, And I just basically change it to C2, S2, student 2, and then maybe here like 2016, the grade would be like 95, and then we'll call this Java 2, and call this Larry, and then ID will be 44556, C2, S2. Okay, so much easier now. Again, I just display student 1 formation and student 2 formation here. I pass that student object to the function here to display those data. And so now, if I run this, you have those two information down here. It's just some formatting issue you need to deal with. So the first student information is here. Second is Larry's information is here. So again, bread 1, bread 2, and sandwich 1, sandwich 2, right? Okay, so this is one way to do it, by doing this way, okay? Are we okay here? Do you get it now? How it works? Okay, so what this way here is.
Can we have print? I mean, can you put this in a Word document and a flexible video?
No, not yet. Yeah, I'll post this up. Right, so this example, I'm instantiating my course and my semester here, and the student. I did 3 at once, and then I will pass those to the function here, which is not very efficient, by the way. Okay, this shouldn't be the way to do it, but it can be done. And I'll show you the second way, which is probably the more preferred method to do it. Okay, so I'll leave this here as is, and the second method is all you have to do is tweak your student class. So here, everything here stays the same as is. The only difference is just this constructor here. Okay, so I'm going to modify here, or I'm going to add a new constructor. And the first two arguments or parameters will be the same. Student name, int ID. Okay, so instead of passing the course and the semester object here, I'm going to pass the actual course name, the year, and then all those information there. So what does the course have? The course we have the name, credit, and grade, right? So I'm going to have the name. So it gives me the course, the name. I have the credit, int of credit, and it also has the grade. It does get long, but how do I wrap this? Okay, there's a way to wrap this, but well, let me do this. So we have the student ID. I'm going to break this into a separate line. Okay. So we have the ID, we have the, let's do this, and credit, and then I have, for the semester, is going to be a string type of term, and also takes the year. Okay, so I'll take all those parameters and pass it to this constructor. Now, notice that when I do this way, so when I create a new student, I have to fill all these in. Okay, so here I have to do something like this. So student 3. So I'll say student 3, new student. I'm going to pass everything. So this is going to be Joel. His ID is 5543. Okay, so the course title, right? The next one here is the course title, and then the credit and the grade, and so on. So the course title is, we'll call this PHP. The credit is 3 credits. The grade for this course is actually he got a 89.4. Okay, the semester is going to be spring, and the year is, let's just say, 2017. Right? So you supply everything to that function, to that constructor. So I'm not instantiating the object for the course and the semester. I would do that inside the constructor. Okay? So here, in the constructor, I'm going to set the name and ID, which is fine. So I just say, again, say set name, set ID, ID. Okay. Now I cannot say, what happened here? Student name. I cannot do this. I cannot do like I did up here. Set course. Set course. If I do this, get an error, right? Because this course, it means that you have to already have this object called course or course name instantiated, but this is a string, so it's a wrong data type. It doesn't work. And of course, when you create this student one here, we didn't create the course and the semester object. So you have to do it inside the constructor here. So what that means is that I can't do this. I have to do it this way. I have to say this course up here, this term and this course here. So I'll say this course, this new course. Right? You do it inside the constructor. So basically, I'm moving this part and this part here inside the constructor. Okay, so I create the object inside here. I'm going to pass the course name and then the credit and the grade to this constructor. Why? Well, because the course says you take the course name, the credit, and the grade. Okay, bless you. Okay, so I create the object in here, and then the other is just the term, right? The term here. So the term will be similar. Term is equal to new semester. I'm passing the term and the year to that object. Did I do something wrong? Oh, here again, this would be like this course, this term. Okay? So I'm instantiating objects here. And then now they are still part of the student. So by doing this way, I cannot access the course and the term directly from here. Whereas here I could. I could still say, I want to print out the student the course for C1 and C2. Yeah, I can just say C2 dot, right? C1 dot get grade, get course name. I can still access it because it's a separate object of the student. Even though I pass it to the student, you know, up here as course 1 and C1 and C2, and it's up here. Yeah, C1 and C2 here, right? You pass it an object, but I can still access because these are still independent objects. When I do it this way, then I cannot get the class information here, right, or the semester. The only way to get that is through the student3 object. So this is not the preferred method here. Although it's doable, it shouldn't be the way to do it. Okay? Because there's no one way to do it. It's always a lot of ways. And this is one of the ways. But it's not the preferred method. Okay? You want to do it this way so that student 3 has everything. I cannot access the class here unless I go through student 3. So now I can still display the student information the same way as I do the other one, student 3. Okay, so if I save this now and run this again, so here we have those 3 students, James, Larry, and then the last one here is the Joe information here. Questions? What's the time now? Okay, so I hope that helps. You can I will upload this onto the Blackboard, so you can also look at this and you know, use it to help you with your program. But we'll take a break. We'll come back and I'll do one more thing here, and then we'll talk about the conditionals. Okay? So we'll take a 10-minute break.